I've been a great admirer of KGF 1 and 2, phenomenally done, and he's great admirer of my work. I didn't know that was news for me. So it was mutual admiration society for both of us. And I really felt that, yeah, South film has definitely been great. If we start from Pushpa, RRR, Kanthara, and KGF, all this we have done phenomenally well at the box office. I think the basic thing about the writing is very good off there.
Sai, you are coming out of an award-winning performance for Mimi. I think she deserves a huge round of applause for that.
I think after Mimi, I exist now. I was invisible earlier, and now I exist, so I'm really happy.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that. You should.
She was a hunter.
She was a hunter. Apart from that, she should say some Marathi film she performed. My God, amazing. For me, she was always a very talented actress. The right time
for everybody except her.
And I signed you before Mimi, by the way.
Yes, he did.
We were all having our first world problems, but people who were in this community, again, to represent a community like that was very exciting and also sort of gives you a sense of responsibility. But I love Mehrunisa because with all her problems and all her survival instincts and her sufferings, she's full of life. We recover, we reset, and we move on.
I'm extremely hungry. I am starving. I am starving for good work. I am starving to be Smita's son, to be yes.
I think we love you. Hello and welcome to News 18 Showsha. This is your host Shrishti Negi, and today we have a bunch of talented actors with me. There's Prateik Babbar, Sai Tamhankar and Shweta Basu Prasad, and the very acclaimed filmmaker Madhur Bhandarkar, who is coming up with yet another hard-hitting film called India Lockdown. So Madhur sir, I'll start with you. India Lockdown is about these 5 characters who are dealing with a pandemic very differently. Tell me, how did you, zero in on these stories that, okay, I'll have to, I will show a sex worker story or a migrant worker story. How did you zero in on these stories?
While making the script first draft, it went to some 12 characters, 12 different stories.
Okay.
When we thought, okay, should we make a series on it or film on it? But obviously series was very far-fetched because we wrote the film in the pandemic, only the first pandemic. It was very difficult for me to get that time. Offices were closed, nothing was working, everything was in a limbo. At that time I thought, okay, why not make a film? And from 12 we came from 8 to 7 to 5, and then we zeroed down to 4 stories. 4 potentially strong stories of different strata of society, to a bit urban people. That is Ahana Kumraz, who plays a pilot, Prakash Belwadi, who plays a senior citizen, and 2 people from a different society, like the migrant worker, Prateik and Sai Tamhankar, who plays the role of the migrant worker staying in Mumbai and they want to go to their village, and sex worker played by Shweta Basu Prasad, who basically is over there in the red light area of Mumbai, how they are deprived with the regular things in their life since the pandemic had hit and the lockdown has happened.
Right.
So then we thought we would be able to do justice to this 4 story, then taking so many tracks. At the same time, this movie is not an anthology. One story gets over, the 2nd star or 3rd star or 4th star.
Right.
It could have been that way also. But as a screenplay, we written some 7 to 8 draft, and we zeroed down and we connected the stories together. So how the story meets each other, how the characters crisscross each other. That's the beauty in the film.
Right.
And which we have done very effortlessly. And the performance is all people have seen the movie in IFFI, Goa International Film Festival, where a lot of praises are there for the actors, and they have done an absolutely great job.
Yeah.
And India Lockdown, definitely a movie which I wanted to document. I wanted to show the people exactly what happened during the first lockdown.
Prateik, it was Madhur sir who was so sure that you can play this role. Tell me, he also said that, your mother, Smita ma'am, used to play such characters a lot, and, she was the queen of this new wave movement cinema in, Indian cinema. Tell me, did you sort of watch any of her films to sort of take any inspiration for this character? And were there like any pressure to live up to Madhur sir's expectations?
I did watch a few reference films. I did watch Chakra, I watched Akrosh, two of my mother's films. I watched some more films also, and I think the common link between all these films was the male character who has a very hard struggle. These characters are almost desperate to survive. So that is something that I observed very keenly. Yes, I felt the pressure to live up to Madhur Bhandarkar. He 5-time national award winner, Padma Shri recipient. I mean, it's something to live up to. If I speak for myself as an actor, challenges are what I look for. Stepping out of my comfort zone is what I would want to do as an actor, and leave no stone unturned. And in terms of that, I was all in, and I was invested, and I was ready to work. But it was Sir's conviction and confidence that really sealed the deal for me, if I may. Sir was extremely confident. All he said was, "Tu kar lega, tu kar lega, abhi shuru kar, काम शुरू कर, घर पे जा, ये फिल्में देख, अभी शुरू कर, tu kar lega." So I was convinced. I was like, "I'm up for a challenge, sir. मैं कर पाऊंगा, tu kar lega." That's all he said. "Tu kar lega, शुरू कर काम, अभी ये फिल्में देख ले." That's how it began, and I hope I've lived up to Sir's expectations. I mean,
the trailer looks phenomenal. I must tell you, I absolutely loved it. Whether it was, Sai's character, your character, Ahana, Prateik, the trailer looks amazing. Shweta, I would like to ask you. You have done, movies on serious subjects. You also recently did a series called Criminal Justice. You were in Tashkent Files. As an artist, is that like a conscious decision to sort of take on roles that are meaningful, that say something, that give out some sort of message? And also, what was your first thought when a character like this, came to you?
So the first half of the question, the choice of roles. Of course, characters need to be meaningful. And for me, I work on projects that I want to watch because I'm an audience first. I'm a huge movie buff. I love cinema. It's the only magic I know. It's all I know. I've worked in movies more than half my life.
Yes.
But it's not about serious subjects. I mean, I've done a movie called Comedy Couple for Z5, which was about stand-up comedians. But I think what I look for is some kind of some kind of integrity, some kind of uniqueness that the character brings on table, and any girl who's watching the film would be able to relate to herself or her cousin or somebody she's known, and some kind of it would empower it. Whatever I'm doing empowers the audience in some way or the other, because when I watch Smita ji's work, so I watch great actors' work, not trying to compare, but as an audience, when I'm watching great actors and I watch their characters and what they bring to table, it empowers me as an audience. And cinema reflects society.
Yes.
So of course I think it's important that as an actor I choose characters, whether it's a divorcee in Serious Men, or it's a stand-up comedian in Comedy Couple, or she's a lawyer in Criminal Justice, or a sex worker in India Lockdown. I think for me to find a different person, different personality that I'm locking within myself is also very exciting. I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know you exist. But mostly it's for every other girl out there to say, hey, I know this could be your story maybe, and it's just to sort of bring a voice out, being their voice and exhibiting their thoughts and their lives. My choice, as I said, is mostly what I want to watch. My thoughts on Mehrunisa was that she's a commercial sex worker. It's the pandemic. There's a lockdown, and her livelihood is directly hit because of the lockdown, because it's her business, and we were all having our first world problems. But people who were in this community, again, to represent a community like that was very exciting, and also sort of gives you a sense of responsibility. But I love Mehrunisa because with all her problems and all her survival instincts and her sufferings, she's full of life. And I love that about her, and that's the human spirit that the film carries, and that's what we saw during the pandemic or any kind of tragedy that the world goes through. We suffer, we recover, we reset, and we move on.
Sai, you are coming out of an award-winning performance for Mimi. I think she deserves a huge round of applause for that. So, Sai, tell me, this is your second Hindi movie after Mimi. How did you react when, Madhur sir approached you for this role? And what was the most, intriguing part about this character or the story that, you said yes?
I think I reacted as every actor would react when Madhur Bhandarkar calls him or her. I was shocked. I reconfirmed twice calling back. And finally I went and met him, and he, sort of narrated the story, and I got to know that I will be playing a migrant worker with Prateik. I think the character itself and the story of a migrant worker itself, I gravitate towards characters which are intense, which depict reality. I think that's how I got, pulled to this character. And when Madhur sir asks you to be in his film, I think there is no reason to say no. And that's why I said yes. And of course the story, I haven't played such a character before, and to play with somebody who has Smita Patil ji's genes was a cherry on top for me. And it felt like, वो आती थी इनमें बीच में और मैं उनकी झलक देखती थी, and I used to feel very nice. But I must say this as a co-actor, that this boy has really stepped out of his comfort zone, and he's done total justice to this character.
Completely. Very, very well played role. Very well played role.
Sir, how do you ensure in your movies, that your films don't end up becoming sort of highlighting a male savior? Like, I know for a fact that you also write your own movies.
No, I write my own movies, but I also have female writers and male writers. Like this movie and Babli Bouncer, both the film was written by the same writers. In fact, Babli Bouncer was written first, then India Lockdown we started. So you see the two contrasting movie we have. So both Aradhana and Amit Joshi has written the film, collaborated with me, and this also. And earlier also I made film which was again collaborated with Manoj Tyagi and Anuradha Tiwari. Both the film, Fashion and Heroine. So female writers are always there, part of my films. ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं है बोल के. But then obviously we see कि which point of view I always show the film. I show the character is very different. All my female characters, if you see from Chandni Bar to India Lockdown, they're all very different. They're all varied characters. It's nothing to connect with. If you see Babli Bouncer, which is recent, and see all these characters in this movie, all the three female characters, is completely different. Or if you see Kirti Kulhari's character, Indu Sarkar, very different person, whether rebellious she was, the kind of character she was, or Karina's character in Heroine, or Priyanka's in Fashion. Or I can go on. Like Chandni Bar, Tabu was more submissive, more, she was like completely given to the society, whatever she takes it in her life, that kind of character it was. Where Satta, you see, Raveena Tandon is very smart. She's, she wants to hit people with the same murkiness how she's been treated. So I try to portray all this character, and trust me, all this character, sometimes I feel I've seen them somewhere in my life. Or I read somewhere about them, or I saw in some places, so that's what I keep taking from these ideas, कि ऐसा character होना चाहिए इसका. Then obviously mix it the way I wanted, and obviously we give a shape to a film character which we wanted our character to portray in the film ultimately.
Also, he's very approachable as a director. Like as a female actor, if I have an idea, if I have something, he's very collaborative and he's very receptive of those things. So if certain things and he's very open to discussions. So if you see a scene in a certain way, he doesn't restrict himself. He's very open to those suggestions and he applies them. He executes them.
Right. Is he a tough taskmaster?
Oh my God. He's such a sweetheart. I loved working with Madhur sir, and he makes you feel so comfortable on set. The kind of character I'm playing, the clothes I'm wearing, not one day I felt out of place or how am I going to do this. And actors feed on directors' energy.
Yeah, their energy.
On their confidence. So I think even with Prateik, when he said that he can do this, or when all of us, I think we feed on director's energy. You're the captain of the ship. That label is given to you for a reason, because it's a trickle-down effect. The entire set's energy depends on a director's energy. So he's fun. Oh my God! Don't go by his filmography of serious work.
He's a riot. He's a riot.
He's full fun. He's a chiller. You can sit and chill with him.
Right. So, lockdown has also, basically made us realize about our privileges, Was working on this film was also sort of an eye-opener for you guys?
Every single day. I think if we speak for three of us, absolutely. Every single day, a reminder of how grateful we need to be for our lives. The privileges we have, a roof over our head, meal every, whenever we want, cars, house help. Absolutely, every single day. And we were extremely humbled. I'm sure even Shweta was playing this character. She was extreme. I mean, we were all extremely humbled. And I think because of that, we were that much more invested into these characters and their stories. It was a huge responsibility, I think, for the three of us. Of course, for every one of us, Ahana, Prakashji. But I think this was
this comes from survival.
This comes from survival. About survival. It's sensitive. It was a huge responsibility. We didn't want to leave any stone unturned. We wanted to do justice to this story and these communities with that more sincerity and honesty.
Absolutely. We recently watched the film at IFFI Film Festival. We got overwhelming response after the show. But when I was watching it, watched it as an audience, and you get affected by a few scenes. There's this one scene where they're walking miles, and I was looking at it and I was like, I was counting the number of footwears I have. And sometimes you just pick something online or kahin gaya, acha iska color acha hai, utha lo, and such basic things, and you never pay attention and you take it for granted. And to think about the migrant workers walked miles in those, and when you watch the film, I don't want to keep things for, reveal things. And then there's this one scene jahan par, in the body, in the red light area, Mehrunisa and her entire group, वो लोग चंदा इकट्ठा करके खाना मंगवाते हैं because they're so desperate for food. They're watching food shows on TV and they're like, they're salivating. They're like, we want to eat food. And there's so many times हमारा मूड होता है और हम ऑनलाइन कुछ खाना मंगाते हैं कि आज खाने का मन नहीं है, आज दीदी नहीं आई, आज ये मंगवाते हैं. We waste food. I think the biggest learning has been, please don't waste food. There is, please donate. If you can't eat, मत लीजिए प्लेट में. And if you can, just donate as much, because I think that value of basic things like footwear and food, it makes you question those things. We take it for granted so much.
We also realize that किसी का दुख बड़ा छोटा नहीं होता है, दुख होता है, period.
Right. Sai, Kriti had said that after the success of Mimi, filmmakers started seeing her very differently and started taking her very seriously as an actor. Did the same thing happen with you as well? Did the change in attitude happen towards you as well?
Yeah. I think after Mimi, I exist now. I was invisible earlier, and now I exist. So I'm really happy.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that.
She was a hunter.
She was a hunter. Apart from that, she said some Marathi film she performed. My God, amazing. For me, she was always a very talented actress. The right time
for everybody except her. Only she thinks she's arrived. Only she thinks she's arrived after the.
I'm not saying
the film fair,
but yes, definitely some interesting eyeballs have turned. Some serious filmmakers now. For them, I exist, and I think it's a wonderful feeling.
Right.
And I signed you before Mimi, by the way.
Yes, he did.
But she shot Mimi, but I didn't see a film. I was always a great fan of her,
right,
and always wanted to, कुछ अच्छा होगा इसके साथ, and this was the right role, and I called her.
Yeah. Right. Madhur sir, in over the past few years, especially after the pandemic, it has become very difficult to sort of figure out what's working in theatres and not. बेसिकली आप कुछ प्रिडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते हो कि ये चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा. कुछ ऐसी फिल्में जिनसे लगा था बहुत चलेंगी, वो बिल्कुल नहीं चली थिएटर्स पे.
करेक्ट.
तो Was this the reason behind bringing India lockdown to OTT?
I feel that there's a larger audience over there on OTT, and like OTT has been huge. You have OTT stars now, you have OTT, filmmakers who are making some good content and people are watching it. And India lockdown, I feel we wanted obviously the wider audience to connect, and ZEE5 has a huge database where it can 190 countries, and I'm sure this is going to connect hugely. Like why I'm saying our latest experience, like Babli Bouncer had done so well on the OTT, and recently I've got calls from so many people from small village to the urban cities. They said कि यार so many years मेरी मम्मी picture देखने गई, दादी picture देखने गई. They saw collaboratively sitting together at home. So the audience reach is huge, which have not gone. वो शायद theatre में होती तो आराम से देखते. But in the first viewing only they saw. So I think that's really tremendous. I feel films or OTT will be coexisting together. It is nothing like that कि नहीं कुछ फिल्म OTT की होगी, कुछ फिल्म थिएटर का होगा, जो थिएटर का एक्सपीरियंस होगा, आप थिएटर में जाओगे उसको देखने के लिए.
Audience होता है.
Audience होता है. Exactly. There are lots of film which was made for theatre, which is directly released to OTT, and that's not big stars movies which are coming to OTT. I think there's nothing wrong in OTT. Also, there's the audience. People see ultimately it's a work of art. They want to see what is good. They will definitely watch that.
Right. I was seeing your Instagram. You met Yash at IFFI. Sir, recently lot of South films really worked at the box office. Also because they were really rooted. If we talk about a Kantara or a Pushpa, they were very rooted, very local.
Yeah.
Do you think it's about time that back home we should start introspecting that? What has gone wrong?
I'll just clear one thing. I met Yash not in IFFI. I met in the lounge of Goa.
Oh, okay.
There I met him, and obviously we were sitting in the same lounge, so we interacted, and I've been a great admirer of KGF 1 and 2, phenomenally done, and he's great admirer of my work. I didn't know that was news for me. So it was mutual admiration society for both of us. And I really felt that South film has definitely been great. If we start from Pushpa, RRR, Kantara, and KGF, all this we have done phenomenally well at the box office. I think the basic thing about the writing is very good off there, which is I think we here in Mumbai film industry has to invest more in writing and more in new innovative script. That is very essential, because the problem is what happened ke you pick up, you feel that this adaptation is nice, this book is nice, and you make it because they feel. I think again, even if you take adaptation or remake something, I think still you need a good cleansing in writing. That is very essential. If that is good, then definitely the audience, and films are like that. Some film will work, some film won't work. And this is always, sometimes you feel, this movie is so bad, but it's a big hit at the box office. Sometimes you feel this movie is going to be a huge success, and it doesn't work at the box office. So it has its own pros and cons of every film. So what works, we know, but there's no doctrine as such ke what works at the box office. If a person say, I know to make a hit cinema, he's a liar. Nobody can predict what works at the box office. It's very difficult.
Prateik, recently you said in an interview that, you are now this Prateik 2.0.
Yes.
My God, it's become a statement.
Who would have thought?
Tell me, was this journey of this transformation lonely or unsettling, or did it sort of make you realize so many things, or was it cathartic for you?
Absolutely cathartic. Absolutely. Also, I think what drew me towards becoming 2.0 was the love for my job and the love for being an actor and a performer, and being absolutely obsessed with it. And of course, I have the greatest benchmark. Smita Patil. I have the greatest benchmark. I have a standard to live up to, and I think every time I'm reminded of that, I know my purpose, and I know my reason. I know my path. I know that there is nothing more important to me than doing justice to Smita Patil's legacy and doing justice to her body of work. There is nothing more important to me. That is my purpose. That is my reason. So 2.0 has a lot to do with that.
It's just the beginning.
Just the beginning. 2.0 has a lot to do with that. I'm extremely hungry. I am starving. I am starving for good work. I am starving to be Smita's son, to be yes.
I think
So
we
that-
love you. And we cannot really wait to see, Prateik 2.0 killing it on the big screen.
I can't wait. I can't wait either.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
guys.
much.
It was lovely speaking to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.